Call the Senate to order. Mr. Clerk, please read the roll.
Barnett, Barrett, Blackman, Blackwell, Blunt, Boyd, Branning, Bryan, Butler, Carter, Kaufman, Chazanall, Chisholm, DeBarr, Delano, England, Fillingham, Frazier, Harkins, Hill, Hobson, Horn, Jackson of 11, Jackson of 32nd, Johnson, Jordan, Kirby, McCon, McDaniel, McLendon, McMahon, Michelle, Moran, Norwood, Parker, Polk, Sparks, Pope, Seymour, Simmons of the 12th, Simmons of the 13th, Sojourner, Sparks, Super, Tate, Thomas, Thompson, Turner, Ford, Whaley, Wiggins, Williams, Witherspoon, Younger. Mr. President, a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Please rise for the invocation given by Senator Tyler McCon, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Senator Ben Super. Senator McCon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning on this Friday where the sun comes up and we're able to come back in to do the people's work. And we remain in the middle of a pandemic. But during this pandemic, let us not continue to say, let's go back to normal. For normal is a time of complacency where we took for granted those things that we now aspire to do so much. Those places that we aspire to go, those family members in nursing homes and hospitals that we're not able to go see and visit. Let us aspire to go to something more. Let us aspire to go to a time when we don't take things for granted. Let us go to a time when we can make the state even better. Father, I pray for these people on this end of the hall and the other end of the hall in the governor's office are here to do the people's work and do what they can to make Mississippi a better place and to bring us out of this pandemic into a time when we do not take for granted those things that mean so much. Father, be with this body as they go forth to their own homes to see those loved ones this weekend, and bring us back next week to continue to do the work of the state of Mississippi. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Senators. Now the reading of the journal. Senator Blackwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to dispense with the reading of the journal.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Messages and petitions, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, there are none.
Committee reports. Senator Blackwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to dispense with the reading of the committee reports.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of committee reports. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next, reading of the titles, bills, and resolutions. Senator Blackwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to dispense with the reading of the titles of the bills and resolutions.
Senator moves to dispense with the reading of the title, bills, and resolutions. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We'll now go to introduction. Any introductions? Introduction. Senator Kirby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, we're honored today to have Dr. Chastity Torrance. Dr. Torrance is a member of the Mississippi State Medical Association and the Mississippi Psychiatry Association. Of course, her specialty is psychiatry. And she serves us at the Mississippi State Hospital and Rush Senior Care. She's from Pearl. In the North Gallery, if you would please stand and let your Senate make you welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you and welcome. We appreciate your help today. All right, introductions. Any other introductions? Seeing none, we move to the calendar. Any senator wish to bring matters up on the calendar, starting with appropriations? Senator Hobson, pass. Senator Harkins is not present. General calendar, Chairman DeBarr, pass. Chairman Tate, pass. Chairman Turner Ford, pass. Chairman Parker, pass. Chairman DeBarr again on the calendar, pass. Chairman Branning, pass. Chairman Horn, pass. Chairman Moran, Pass. Chairman Bryan. Chairman Bryan. We'll give him just a second. Chairman Bryan. We'll pass and come back on the calendar. Chairman Fillingane. Chairman Fillingane, pass. Chairman Barnett. Pass. Chairman Michelle. Pass. Chairman Delano is not present. Chairman Kaufman. Pass. Chairman Parks. Chairman Parks. Pass. Chairman Wiggins. Chairman Wiggins. This will be item 57. Chairman Wiggins, we're on item 74. All of the ones prior to that time retain their place on the calendar. Chairman Wiggins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that items 74 through 77 retain their place on the calendar and go to item number 78. Call that up and ask the title be read.
74 to 77 retains their place on the calendar. Mr. Clerk, please read number 78.
Senate Bill number 2205, birth certificate. Adoptee may obtain certified copy of original after 18 years.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you. This is a simple bill, starting at line 71. This allows any person who is adopted to obtain their birth certificate, as the language says, at least 18 years after passage since the issuance of a revised birth certificate. And what that means, just hypothetically, is that if you're adopted when you're 1 year old, you can get the birth certificate when you're 18. And there's also part of this is for health issues and things like that. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on the bill? Seeing none, we're ready for your motion, Senator.
Move passage on the morning roll call.
Senator moves passage on the morning roll call. Anyone object to the procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? No. Present? Seeing none, bill passes on use of the morning roll call. Senator Seymour, you're recognized.
Mr. President, I would like to call up line item 79, Senate Bill 2293, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2293, claims by veterans under Consumer Protection Law. Mississippi Veterans Affairs Board offers service free of charge.
Senator makes the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
I move to adopt the committee sub in lieu of the original bill.
You're recognized to explain the committee substitute.
This is a bill that was recommended by the Veterans Affairs Board. All it does is it's dealing with the Consumer Protection Law that provides that any claim or action under the provisions of consumer protection laws filed on behalf of a veteran for a fee must include certain acknowledgments that the Mississippi State Veterans Affairs Board offers the same service free of charge and for related purposes. You'll find that language almost verbatim on line 39, section 5. And the only thing that we really did is in committee was to embolden that as far as the font and the actual letter size of 120% larger than the acknowledgement form. With that, are there any questions?
Well, yield to any questions. Questions? Seeing none, we're on the substitute. Senator, ready for your motion.
Move to pass by morning roll call.
Well, we need to adopt a substitute first, sir. The motion would be to adopt a substitute.
I move to adopt the substitute in by morning roll call.
Well, it's just a voice vote, Senator. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're on the bill now. We're ready for your morning roll call motion, Senator.
Move to pass by use of the morning roll call.
Senators ask for passage by use of the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none present, bill is passed by use of the morning roll call. Senator, you're recognized.
I'd like to go to item number 80, Senate Bill 2294, and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2294, Veterans Driver's License Designation Allow Proof of Military Service in Person.
Senator makes the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator, you're recognized.
2294 is just, it's a bill that the Veterans Affairs, the VFW, brought forward as far as a redundant service in that in applying for your vet identification on your license, that they be able to use their DD-214 in person. You'll find that on line 47 as far as the requirement of having a notation from the Veteran Affairs Board. The Veteran Affairs Board is good with them being allowed to use their own documentation. If there are no questions, I ask that passage by morning roll call.
Any questions? Seeing none, Senators requested use of the morning roll call. Does anyone object to that procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Present. Seeing none, the bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Chairman Hill. Room number 81.
Like to ask the title be read on item 81, Senate Bill 2024.
Mr. Clerk, would you please read the title?
Senate Bill number 2024, Depositories Revised Bid Process for Selection by Counties and Municipalities.
Senator makes the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
All this bill does is currently the county boards of supervisors have to place their banking depositories out for bid every 2 years. This would just extend it to 4 years if they chose to do so. And this is a bill that's supported by the Board of Supervisors, Advisors Association, and the Bankers Association. It would just give them the flexibility to go 4 years with the same banking arrangements. And that's it. Anybody have any questions? I'd be glad to answer.
Questions from the body? Seeing none, we're ready for your motion, Senator.
My motion would be passage on the morning roll call.
Senators requested passage on morning roll call. Anyone object to that procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? No. Present. Seeing none, the bill passed by use of the morning roll call. Senator, you're recognized.
I'd like to ask the title be read on the next number, Senate Bill 2630.
Senator Turner, I'm sorry.
I request permission to be added as a co-author to the previous bill that just passed.
Co-author to the previous bill. Jackson, Robert, McClendon, Turner Ford, Younger, Jordan, Barnett, Butler, Simmons, S. Senator Chasnow, did you want to be added as well? No. No, she does not. Anyone else? Seeing no objection, motion, who's that? I'm sorry, Chisholm. Kathy. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing no objection, motion is granted. You move into 82, Senator, and Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2630, County Law Library Authorized Use of Money for Technological Purposes.
Senator makes the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Like to adopt the committee sub in lieu of the original bill.
You're recognized to explain the committee substitute.
What this does, a couple of years ago, we added some language into the statute about county law libraries and allowed them to have those electronic libraries instead of just all paper. And all this bill does, if you'll look on lines 101 to 105, Senator DeBar thought we needed to be a little more clear about that those funds could be used for online subscription services, legal research tools, any subscriptions that we needed to pay for those electronic law services, that's just listed out so that it's just more clear. But we had technology in it before, but this just lays it out to computers, hardware, software, internet, online subscription services, legal research tools, and electronic records.
Any
Be
questions
happy to
on
entertain a question.
any questions on the bill? Seeing none, we're ready for your motion on the substitute.
Okay, I have to adopt the committee sub. Motions to adopt the committee sub.
Motion's been adopted to committee sub. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're on the bill, Senator.
Now my motion would be passage on the morning roll call.
Senator's requested passage on the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Anyone wish to record as voting no? Present. Seeing none, the bill passes by use of the morning roll call. Senator, you're recognized.
I believe the next one I'd like to leave this placed on the calendar.
Senator,
Pass.
number 83 will retain its place on the calendar. Chairman Simmons, Derek, pass. Chairman Blackwell, you pass it. We're on the calendar on 85. Pass. Chairman Whaley, 84 and 85 will retain their place on the calendar. Chairman Whaley, we're on item 86.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to skip item 86 and let it retain its place on the calendar and go to line item 87 and call it up and have the title read.
86 retains its place on the calendar. Mr. Clerk, read title on 87.
Senate Bill number 2486, State Parks, restructure ownership and management arrangements.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
I'd like to move to adopt the committee substitute.
You're recognized to explain the committee substitute.
Thank you, Mr. President. What we have before us today is Senate Bill 2486, and in Section 1, it would allow for the creation of a state park study committee. Subsection A would study the implications of review versus non-renewal of leases on the Corps of Engineer parks. Section B, exploring the possibility of conveying parks back to a local governments if they are willing. The section has garnered much debate to this point, with very, very many inaccurate reports so far. Section C, the possibility of repurposing parks, such as state fishing lakes, wildlife management areas. Section E, the possibility of leasing parks by geographical regions to ensure that the parks are not cherry-picked to find the most, the better parks and leave the worst parks out. An effort to look at admission fees, camping fees, rental fees, and we would look at many, many different things regarding to this, the direction of the revenue and how it should be provided, how the potential leases would be selected, and the oversight in which they would be garnered, obligations that we would hold these companies to if there was a lease agreement made. Finally, the committee would be made up of 5 senators appointed by the Lieutenant Governor and 5 representatives appointed by the Speaker of the House. If there are any questions, I would be happy to take them.
Any questions on the bill? Senator Hobson, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would this also include the ability for this committee to recommend the repeal of the law that was passed several years ago that would require any closure of a state park to have legislative approval?
You know, it doesn't specifically spell that out, but in Section 1, Subsection 2, the committee shall study at a minimum the following questions. So I don't think it would leave that out. It just doesn't specifically state it.
Okay. As this bill works its way through, I think that's one of the things that may be important. And I suppose it could be done next year. If they're going to come back with a study, we could also include a repealer of that language, which may help expedite and allow the parks and wildlife and parks to have the ability to remove or sell properties on behalf of the state.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Senator Chasnow, For what purpose you seek recognition?
A question, please, Mr.
Will you yield for a
President.
question, Senator Whaley?
I will.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you very much. Senator Whaley, you know I have an interest in this because the parks are so important to our tourism in Mississippi. Are you aware that there have been meetings, the State Department of Wildlife Fisheries Parks, Tourism from MDA, and also the Department of Archives and History, because of the historic nature of some of these parks, that we have been meeting and actually touring some of these facilities to try to get a better grasp of the state of disrepair in some of them and the needs that are of most pressing to improve them?
Yes, ma'am, I am fully aware of that, and you'll remember when these talks started, you and I actually had a joint hearing set up to happen, and it was canceled due to weather problems. And then once rescheduled, I had a issue with COVID-19 exposure, so I was unable to attend one of the meetings. And then I've had meetings myself, hearings as well. So yes, ma'am, I'm fully aware of that.
So you have spoken with your counterpart on the House side, I believe that's Representative Kincaid, and he, I think, has visited several of the parks during this time to give us some input as to how he feels we might best proceed. Have you
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
with him, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I talk to Representative Kincaid very regular. We're from the same area, and we've actually been to some of these same parks at the same time, so we've been in constant conversation over the issue.
So I guess my question is, do you think perhaps this legislation might be somewhat premature, as we are still in the ongoing process of gathering information from these state agencies to get their input and also to use their expertise to help us as we move forward with this process?
No, ma'am, I would actually be in the exact opposite direction of you on that. I think that this legislation is about 15 years too late. This has been a problem for at least 20 years, and it's a shame that it has gotten to this point.
Well, when I was a child, my parents were good country folks, and one of the sayings that they had was that there's more than one way to skin a cat. There are several cats in this body, I think. But my point, and I would like to offer this to you and to the body, is that perhaps this isn't the only way to skin this cat. And I would hope that we would move forward in a systematic manner that involves the state agencies that I've mentioned as we make the best decisions. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I've been looking for lots of ways to move forward, and I think that this is probably the safest way in which we can move forward if we're actually going to do something. If we go in another direction, I don't think we're going to accomplish a goal at all.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sparks, for what purpose you seek recognition?
A question, Mr.
Will
President.
you yield, Senator?
I do.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your work on this. I know since we had our committee meeting and the committee sub was brought out, we've had some discussions about how to proceed. And the very reason we're having the study committee is based on some of the questions that you've received even here this morning. Isn't that correct?
That is exactly correct.
We all believe in the state parks. I have 2 in my home county, and I received a lot of calls about any movement, change, privatization, leadership. I would not sign off on any of that until I understood completely what the investment was going to be, what the guidelines were going to be. Just as, you know, Senator Hobson mentioned, if there's a closure of a park, what other laws are impacted, turning property back over to the Corps of Engineers, what contract do we have with the Corps? Do we have a duty to return that property in the same way we found it, or do we have a duty to upgrade? All of these are questions that I've received, and I think you've received as well. And the point of this study committee is to try to get those answers before we make a rash decision. The concern, I guess, or the question I have is the things that you've requested, have you been provided in a timely fashion?
We have had a little trouble getting the answers to the questions that we needed. Yes, sir.
Okay, and some of the things we asked, we've even received new information since the committee meeting last week. Is that not true?
That is correct.
Okay, so when someone asks for us to take 140 some odd million dollars to put into any program, we should know where the money's going. Is the money being utilized well? And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this study committee. No one is trying to hurt the state parks. We're trying to preserve and protect them with this effort as a committee. Is that what you're attempting to accomplish, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. And, like you spoke earlier to the point that you have 2 state parks in your district, I have one that holds a very special place in my heart from the family gatherings that have been there since I was a little boy. And to see the state of the park from the time that has gone through my life, it's quite devastating. I'm not looking at any way to ask anyone to make a decision based on a question that I do not have the answer to. I would not ask any of you to do that when I would not do it myself. So this study committee is based on the point that there are questions that we simply do not have answers to, and we're searching for those answers, and the answer may not be in anything that was listed in this study commission. That's the part of a study commission.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know, and as Senator Chastanall mentioned, there's multiple pieces in parks. One of mine is a CCC park, so it has certain restrictions. So I appreciate your efforts to do this study committee and support you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sparks. Senator Blunt, for what purpose? Senator Blunt is satisfied, and the next is Senator Bryan. Senator Bryan, you want to speak on the bill? Senator Hill. Senator Hill, for what purpose you seek recognition?
I'd like to speak on the bill as well.
2 speaks on the bill, and anyone else? Senator Jordan in the back. Senator Jordan's good. Okay, Senator Bryan, you were first up to speak on the bill. Actually, this is a committee substitute.
Anyone who thinks this isn't an attempt to privatize the state parks is naive. Read the original bill as introduced. Where do you think that came from? State parks belong to the people of Mississippi. They've been neglected just like every other function of state government has been neglected, while we have given billions of dollars away to the well-connected, billions of dollars away to out-of-state corporations. Plenty of money for that. When was the last time we had a legitimate pay raise for state employees? When was the last time we tended to any core function of government? And now, just as the pattern always plays out, after neglect, after taking the public good, this public property, these public parks, which belong to the people of Mississippi, and failing to adequately maintain them, and failing to take advantage of the asset that we have that belongs to the people of Mississippi, now we're going to throw up our hands and say, oh my, the state just can't handle this. The government's just not competent. We've got to turn this over to private industry because they'll come in. That's where this is headed. That's the story you're going to hear. And when it comes time to privatize the parks and turn them over to the well-connected and let a bunch of big boys make a pile of money while undoing the access that ordinary Mississippians have, you're going to hear the story about we've tried everything. And we've thought this out, and we've studied, and oh, this is just the best we can do. Now, maybe I'm wrong. And maybe we will come up with a program which keeps the public parks in public ownership, operated by public employees, for the good of the public. Maybe we'll have employees that have access to the state retirement system, to the state insurance system, and have decent paying jobs with decent benefits. And maybe the profit, which the big boys would make from this, would instead go into lowering rates, or would put back into the parks for the good of the state, good of the people, instead of having somebody making some profit hauling the money off somewhere. I would be very pleased to be proved wrong. But there's a very real danger that what I described is about to happen. And I would say to anybody in the state of Mississippi who cares about the state parks, you need to watch this like a hawk. People who care about keeping the parks available for public use, either free of charge or at low rates, depending on what the use is, needs to watch this proposition as it goes through. Read the bill as introduced. Remember what's happened time and time again with situations like this. We've got great state parks. They need, for lack of a better term, sprucing up a bit. But the measure of the state parks and what they're doing for the system is not a measure of how much money they're making or how much money they're costing. It's a measure of what are they providing for the 3 million people of this state and for people from out of state who wish to come here and visit. Thank you.
Senator Hill. Pardon me? Senator Seymour, I'm sorry.
Mr. President, I got a question for the
Senator
Senator Hobbs.
Senator Bryan, would you yield for a question?
Certainly.
Please proceed.
Senator Bryan, there's in the appropriation of wildlife and fisheries, there's a section of the appropriation where I guess it is in state statute that no park, Senator Briggs was talking about, Hobson, that no park could be sold without first consenting with the legislature. Can you tell me why that was put in?
I assume it's put in for the obvious reason of keeping someone from selling state parks. So obviously, somewhere there's some consideration about selling or closing a state park. And I understand in the debate, that's a problem. And we need to get rid of the prohibition about selling state parks, turning them over to somebody else, giving them away.
Well, thank you. 4 years ago, I was on the conference committee with two retired senators, Senator Carmichael and Senator Gillard, and it was one of the most adamant parts of their appropriation that they said could not be removed, but I never did get the history on it. I thought you might have known. You've been here long enough.
Ooh. Thank you, Senator Seymour.
Thank you.
Well, I'll say this, Senator Seymour. There's some people who say they have a bad memory, but I've got an excellent memory. In fact, my memory is so good I can even remember things that didn't even happen.
Senator Hill, you're recognized to speak on the bill, on the substitute.
I'll be very brief. For 8 years, I was vice chair of wildlife. My husband and I, on our own, we went to practically every state park in this state to look at it for my own satisfaction, to see what kind of shape it was in, what the potential was, and you know, what I thought needed to be done. I did this on my own because I was not able to go to all the property tours with Senator Blunt to a lot of places. And in my 8 years, and I guess my 10 years that I've been here, I've seen a lot of things happen with wildlife, and I have a little different conclusion than Senator than Senator Bryan. I kind of believe that if you could hunt deer and turkey in a state park, they'd be top notch. I live by a park that used to be run by Pat Harrison, which is, you know, quasi-governmental entity, Little Black Creek. That park got in such disrepair that the counties that were paying into it pulled out, and it felt like it was of no benefit to them whatsoever. Nobody was ever there, just, you know, the pads were, you know, crumbling, just neglect, basically. And they have allowed some person to come in and manage that park for them. And you can't get a site there anymore. All kind of activities going on. I camp there now myself. I have seen that arrangement save that park, absolutely save that park by just having a different management come in and run the park for that entity. I believe our golf courses on our state parks are already have a group that comes in and runs golf courses, and I believe that they are more successful now and not in any kind of financial ruin. So, you know, whatever it takes to allow people to have access to this, and you can still afford to go to Little Black Creek. I don't see any difference in the prices. All I see is a difference in philosophy and how this park is being run and what's being put into it and attitudes. So I see the potential. We have some of the most beautiful state parks anywhere. Tishomingo, I always did everything I could to help Senator Wileman send money to Tishomingo. We are not utilizing our resources like other states around us for our state parks. And I'm just happy that someone is taking notice that something has to be done. No matter how long it's been neglected, it's never too late. Today is better than 5 years down the road or a year down the road. So I just want to thank those who are working toward a solution finally to bring our state parks up to what they should be so that our people can utilize them and enjoy them no matter what avenue we take to upgrade these parks and incentivize people to be able to use them and advertise them, whether it's people coming from neighboring states or whether it's our people. We deserve to have a place that we can be proud of and that we can enjoy on the weekends, and especially with the pandemic, RVs are the hottest thing since sliced bread, if y'all hadn't noticed that. So this is the perfect time to explore all options to get our state parks and our state areas up to par like they should be. And I want to thank the people. I'm no longer on wildlife. I wish I was. If I had known this was going to be undertaken, I would love to still be on this committee. But I will do whatever I can to help this committee and to help Senator Whaley and Lieutenant Governor Hoseman find solutions to these things. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Simmons,
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
please proceed.
Is this a 3/5 vote?
I believe it was an error, actually. One moment, please. I was correct. It was an error. It is just a simple majority.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wiggins.
Question for the chairman.
Senator Whaley, will you yield for a question?
I do.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Chairman Whaley, to Senator Hill's point, you're familiar with Shepherd State Park in my area, are you not?
I am. Believe it is in Goshen, is that correct?
Correct. And it's been taken over by the city of Goshen, has it not?
Yes, sir. It is being run with the city.
And because of the situation that we found our state parks, that had to happen. And it is a success since that has happened. Is that not correct?
It is a very good model. Yes, sir.
And this bill is examining ways to try to figure out how best to utilize our parks, is it not?
Yes, sir. And I named several of those options off, and I think one of the key points to that was at a minimum, so it could be expanded upon.
So it could be that other cities could take over these parks or a park in their area, just like's happened in Shepherd State Park. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that is correct. There is a section in the study committee that specifically states the possibility of conveying parks to local governments if they are willing.
Okay, and in the Shepherd State Park, the city was willing, and it's been a complete asset, I will tell you, to them, that the Boy Scouts, camping has all been done, and the state hasn't had to handle that since that time. Next, I've seen our friends in the House talk about if we were to do what I would call the public option, that just to get our parks there was going to be somewhere around $145 million at a minimum. Is that about right?
I have been quoted $147 million. However, the number sheets that I'm getting on project list are different. They kind of conflict with ask versus what's actually on paper. So that's part of the point that Senator Sparks made about we're not sure what the actual price tag is.
And that doesn't even include the continual maintenance and upkeep of the parks themselves once you sink that $145 million into it. Is that correct?
That's correct. We've been told a price tag of somewhere yearly around $7 to $8 million additionally just to keep them going.
And I think to your point, like you said, 15 years ago, we should have been doing something, and the state has chosen not to do that.
That is correct. When this problem has been going on, and I said 15 years, it's probably been closer to 20 years since this problem has started to escalate. And that was a point in which many of us weren't here. So I guess the blame doesn't lie within all of us. I know I was still in high school, so I know it doesn't lie with me.
No, it doesn't. And I can't remember if you're on appropriations, but do you know that just this year we're looking at almost a $30 million deficit to Department of Corrections?
I am not on appropriations, but I have heard that there are several agencies that are going to see substantial cuts this year.
And we've already passed, this body has weighed in on giving a teacher pay raise, and which is going to be millions and millions of dollars.
Yes, sir.
So this bill will allow us to look at options in light of the financial situation that we find ourselves in. Is that correct?
That is correct. It will give us options, and the option may not, we don't know what the options are, but it gives us a good chance to step back and look.
Thank you for your work on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sparks, you're good? Senator Sparks is good. Senator Williams, did you have any comments? Are you recognized for a question?
Question, please. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This committee, Mr. Chairman, formed, does it have any authority or power to take actions upon any recommendations it may make or conclusions it draws?
I'm sorry, can you say it?
Will the committee have the authority to take any actions based upon any of the findings that it incurs?
So basically, the committee will have the authority to conduct a report on the findings of the committee.
So it's exploratory in nature, if you will.
That's exactly right.
And the intent is to bring that back to this body?
That is correct. That will be provided to the body.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator McClendon, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question, please.
Would you yield for a question, Senator?
I do.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, does the peer look at this now?
We have, let's see, let me find the exact position on this. The Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks and the Joint Legislative Committee on Performance Evaluation and Expenditure Review shall provide the staff and other support necessary for the study committee.
Have we gotten their report from the peer study group?
That's what is going to be upcoming.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Senator McCon, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question, Mr. President.
Would you yield for a question, Senator?
I do.
Please proceed, Senator.
Chairman, I've worked extensively my time here with you, and my question would be, same that it was in our committee meeting that we had, or our hearing we had a while ago. Is this in any way stopping us from continuing to invest in our state parks?
Absolutely not.
Is it your position that during this time period that we will continue to move forward to make our parks better places for the people of Mississippi?
It is my position that we should continue to make the parks a better place.
And if there was a recommendation in there at any point that involved a reinvestment with maybe another partnership, would we not have a better product at that point to move forward with?
We would absolutely have more clear answers. Yes, sir.
So at the end of the day, as long as we're moving forward trying to reinvest in these parks for the people of Mississippi, do you feel like we're doing anything in the wrong direction?
I believe the parks are going in the wrong direction, and it's time to turn the ship around.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Senator Norwood, did you have a question, sir?
President, yes.
You're recognized. Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, with the setting up of this committee, what involvement will the local municipalities or counties or so forth have in the decision that's going to be made? Will that be public forums, a hearing, or comments allowed by those individuals?
Yes, sir. The study committee will be a public forum event, and I think to your point, talking about the local governments, that would be on the conveyance side. Is that where what you're concerned about on that?
I didn't understand you.
Are you concerned about the conveying to a local government? Is that what you're concerned about?
I'm just talking about the overall, whatever decision that would be made ultimately, be it a takeover by the municipality, the county, or if it's eventually privatized. What engagement involvement would be by the local community?
So yes, sir, the local governments will be involved in this. We definitely would not have a discussion involving them without inviting them to the table. So absolutely, they will have a seat at the table.
Now, at what point would they be involved?
When the study committee begins and we started exploring the opportunities of possibly conveying parks, just as the point that Senator Wiggins spoke to, if there was an issue to where we were actually pursuing an opportunity to convey to a local government, that's when they would have an opportunity to come to the table.
Now, once you go through the process, all of the parks that are set, there may be parks that nobody wants to take over. You can't privatize it. The city doesn't want it. The county doesn't want it. What would happen to those parks?
So that's in the whole general scheme of the bill. We are not wanting to create any bad opportunities for parks. We are not in any way looking to close any parks, and we are not looking to allow someone to come in and potentially lease a park and leave out a park. This is going to be a fit-all model. We're going to craft this to the best of our ability, and it's going to be a work in progress. And, you know, I spoke to the point that there are going to be 5 people on the study committee from the Senate. If you're not on that committee, I promise you I would welcome any input from any senator in this chamber. I see that a lot of people are concerned about this, and that makes me very happy. I haven't heard that from anyone up until this point, so I would tell you that if you have input, I would love to hear it.
My final question is that once we just say that the park, if it's the city, the county, or if it's privatized, what involvement or what engagement would the state have at that point in terms of the use? Because, you know, if I take it over, then, you know, the governance of that park, is it going to be solely on me? Because there may be, if you go outside of the norm, I guess what I'm getting at is that individuals could take it and use it for purposes that does not complement the neighborhood in order to generate revenue.
Yes, sir, that's exactly that. I understand your point to that, and that will be taken care of. Line 74, obligations of the leasee to comply with any conditions attached to a park as a result of prior acceptance. The committee should provide the provisions of the current Mississippi law to adopt the measure described. So there would be a list of basic responsibilities. And this is all theoretical because it's not in the bill, but you know, the way we talked about this, park must be public, cannot charge more than a certain fee, has to be open 7 days a week. So there's great steps that are being put into this process as far as the thinking that is already going on onto this to keep the parks public. We in no way want to turn these into private resorts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Jordan, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, how much money is put into parks for this fiscal year?
I'm sorry, how much money was?
How much money was put in all state parks for this fiscal year?
Sir, I do not have that number in front of me. I couldn't tell you. I can tell you that it was less than it was last year.
Do you know why it was less and not more, since tourism, as Senator Chestnut has indicated, is Mississippi have so much history, positive and negative in all other areas. Films are being made and our parks are run down. Why, in your opinion, have more resources been put in the parks, and what is happening to the Park Commission, and why not?
Well, I would say that over the years, and we spoke to the point that for the last 20 years, there's been a decline in our state parks, and that, I believe, would come apart from a list of different reasons. But the last year, during the COVID response, you had parks shut down for a great period of time, so that has affected the revenue. That has limited opportunities to go to the park, but also the parks are in such a dilapidated state.
Well,
a lot of people don't want to go to them.
Well, isn't the state responsibility to see that they are not in a dilapidated state?
That is exactly right.
Why
that's what I'm attempting to do, Senator. We are attempting to try to fix this.
Yes, because tourism is great in Mississippi and in certain areas. We have a park, the city doesn't want it, the city can't afford to finance it, county can't afford to finance it, and it's a state park. And I agree with it, it's been neglected, but there's a reason why it's been neglected, because decades ago, more money was put in the parks. And I don't understand why the state can't increase the revenue for parks or construction, since they belong to the state, and you don't know how much resources was put into a state park the last year or so. Could you get me that information so I can compare it to what it may have been a decade ago?
Yes, sir, I will definitely.
I'd like to know.
Yes, sir, I sure will.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, we're ready. We're ready for a motion, Senator.
Ask for passage by the morning roll call.
This is committee sub first. Did you want to speak again, Senator? Senator Bryan, you're recognized to speak.
I had no intention of coming to debate this bill. It's not really good to be on the floor in the first place. But if you listen to the debate, you listen to the questions, it's obvious a number of people have made their mind up. All this is about is mechanically, how do we turn the state parks over to some private industry? It's heartbreaking. We have learned from the debate that if the state ignores the state parks, they will be dilapidated. Well, why would we then not have the state try to maintain the state parks instead of saying, oh, they're dilapidated, so the state can't do it? We're told that the parks need more than $100 million worth of investment, and the state just can't afford that. Well, how are the private folks going to afford the $100 million? Because if there's $100 million worth of capital needs, it's not going away. They're going to borrow the money and pay it back over a period of years. Just like we can borrow money and pay it back over a period of years at what are really negative interest rates if you take into account inflation. It would be the bargain of the century to borrow $100 million at current interest rates. Put that money into repairing and improving state parks. And that in return will produce some amount of additional revenue. I don't know how much, but as you rent out cabins and spaces and all, you get revenue. But it's true, they have to be maintained. People have to want to go there. But the parks belong to the people of Mississippi. Tishomingo State Park and J.P. Coleman State Park do not belong to Tishomingo County any more than the beach on the Gulf Coast belongs to the 3 counties down there. These public lands, this public property belongs to all of us. Just like this Capitol building belongs to the people of the state of Mississippi. This Capitol building does not belong to the city of Jackson or to Hinds County. It's the same situation with our parks. And it's heartbreaking to hear serious discussion of, instead of doing the sensible thing, which is to have the state operate state parks with state funds and state employees for the benefit of the people of the state. We're talking about privatization.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sparks, do you recognize speak on the bill?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to make sure that we know what we're voting on. You can look at the original bill, and that's not what was adopted. Committee sub was adopted. The committee sub is a study committee. It is a committee to study, to understand what is best for the beloved resources of this state. A study committee that might just go well visit a sister state that has privatized some of their parks operations to see, is that successful, is that beneficial, would it better the opportunities for people of the state of Mississippi to enjoy their state parks. It is to have conversations, as was requested, with local leaders to see, do you have the desire and the ability to manage your local park, as was in Senator Wiggins' district that was success. If they're not able to do that, we're not going to turn it over to them. The original bill talked about language that if the local entity that it was turned over to failed in their duties, it reverted back to the state. It's still our responsibility. It's still our park. I agree with Senator Bryant. These parks belong to the state of Mississippi. Now, why they're in the state they're in, Senator Jordan's question, it's a wonderful question. That's part of what we're going to try to find out with this study committee, because when we ask a department, what do you need? And they say, just a big old check and leave us alone. That's not appropriate. I want to know what projects at Tishomingo State Park you need. I want to know what dollars you need. And you know what? I might just ask for some of that in a bond bill. Those are the reasons we're studying. We need specifics. I'm tired of blank checks in this state. I'm tired of agencies who receive money and outside of that they say, leave us alone. We want to support our parks. We want to support the state of Mississippi, but these are tax dollars going into these assets that do belong to the state of Mississippi. I appreciate the chairman being willing to say, we're going to pump the brakes because we're going to pay attention to what legal issues are out there, what contracts we have or might enter into, what financial obligations, but most of all, how best we can be successful. I urge you to support this committee to study. I urge you to be involved. I urge you to go visit your local state parks and report to this committee so that we can do our job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Anyone else wants to speak on the bill? Speak on the bill. Seeing none, Senator Whaley.
I'd like to move to adopt the committee sub.
Motion to adopt the committee substitute. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. We're on the bill.
I'd ask for passage by the morning roll call.
Senators asked for passage by the morning roll calls. Anyone object to the procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voted no? Senator Simmons, were you voted no or object to the procedure? Senator Simmons, you're recognized.
At the appropriate time, I'd like to announce a pair, Mr. President.
Certainly. One moment. Anyone object to the procedure? Wish to be recorded as voting no? Senator Simmons, you're recognized and a pair. On no, I'm sorry, we're on no first. Senator Chasnow is a no. Senator Bryan is a no. Anyone else? Senator Frazier, Senator Norwood are no's. Senator Thomas, no. Senator Jackson, no. Senator S. Simmons, no. Anyone else? Angela Turner Ford, no. Albert Butler, no. Senator Jordan, no. Got you, Senator S. Simmons. Senator Barnett, no. Barnett, did you get Barnett? Well, ask the clerk to read the noes. Senator Jordan was a no, Senator Frazier and Senator Norwood were noes. We're ready for. If you'll read those, and then we'll announce the pair, Senator Simmons.
Voting no or nay, Chazanall, Bryan, Frazier, Norwood, Robert Jackson, Thomas, Sarita Simmons, Turner Ford, Butler, Barnett, and Jordan.
Okay, Senator Simmons, a pair.
Thank you, Mr. President. If Senator McDaniel was here, he'll vote aye. I vote no.
Pair with McDaniel. Anyone else? Senator Blunt.
Present.
Senator Blunt is present. Anyone else present? Seeing none, the bill is passed, and we'll go back to Senator Whaley. You're on 88.
I would ask that the rest of my bills be retained on the calendar.
Rest of the bills are retained on the calendar. Fillingane, pass. Barnett. Senator Barnett is recognized. We're on 92. 89 to 91 retain their place on the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we call up item number 92 on today's calendar and have the title read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2574, Reentry Courts. Create pilot reentry court and establish rehab and workforce development program at MDOC.
Thank you. Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I call upon Senator Daniel Sparks to explain the bill.
Senator Sparks, you're recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill establishes a pilot program in the state of Mississippi for a reentry court. This bill came through corrections as well as Judd B. The request for this is through the Department of Corrections, Commissioner Kane, as well as the involvement of Judge Prentice Harrell. They've looked at this program for several years as an opportunity to replace what we used to have as an option called a RID program. This program will allow for someone who has reached the point of incarceration that if they have entered a guilty plea and the court is going to sentence them to a period of incarceration, that they would be evaluated for participation in a reentry court. They would serve their time in the Department of Corrections while in a workforce rehabilitation program for a period of 3 years. Upon successful completion of that program, they come back before the sentencing judge. At that point, the judge would suspend the balance of that sentence and place them into reentry court, which would to a great degree be similar to our intervention courts on the back end. There are 3 locations this pilot program will be operated in: the 1st Circuit, in the 7th, and the 15th Circuit Court districts. This program is restricted to certain crimes. It does not include any sex offenders. It does not include any defendant who is sentenced to a term of greater than 20 years. It is not inclusive of a crime of violence, except for home burglary is the only charge that's listed in 9732 that would potentially be eligible for this program. This would allow a great deal of opportunity of the rehabilitation program and workforce training in MDOC to be measured, but it also allows our DAs and our courts with someone who has violated the law to the extent that there is some incarceration necessary to reach both areas. The RID program was very useful with our younger offenders, and I think this is a better program than RID. RID was a 6-month regimented inmate discipline. This is a 3-year allowing you to have a workforce development type program as well as other skills that you would receive. But it is a pilot program. There is no monetary cost in relation to this program. The 3 districts that have been chosen have been willing and able to accept that responsibility financially. And that is the basis of the bill. I would yield to any questions, Mr.
Questions on the bill? Questions on the bill? Senator Hobson, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Sparks. Is this going to cost any money to the state?
It is not, Senator Hobson. The individuals who would be participating in this program, first of all, would be sentenced to MDOC, which is already in operation and has a budget. Upon successful completion of the program, if they come back to, say, the First Circuit reentry court, they already have an intervention court and they have a budget, and they would be responsible for all cost.
Okay.
Between they and the offender. There is no appropriations asked in any way for this program.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hobson. Senator Hill, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question.
We yield for a question, Senator.
I yield.
Please proceed.
I think we've had some revisions in the past to technical violations, and I can't bring that up in my brain to remember what those corrections may have been. Did we not put something in statute that a new felony charge could not be a TVC, could not be a technical violation? Because in the past, I've seen some reports of what some people have done and, you know, turned out to be a TVC, but in my opinion, it was not a technical violation. So my question is, you know, how serious can a technical violation be? Because I've seen the track record of MDOC with technical violations, and that's what concerns me. I like the bill. I think the bill's a good idea. I'm just real concerned about, you know, how far are they going to let it go and still be a technical violation when I've seen numerous reports where people are committing new felonies, even aggravated assault, and went to a TVC.
Thank you for your question. This is the bill that Judge Harrell came and presented in committee. This bill does not deal with parole or probation or technical violations. This bill deals with someone who is actually incarcerated for a 3-year period who will complete the program. Upon completion of the program, they go back to before the judge. They still have additional time on their sentence. And if the judge sees that they have successfully completed the program, he will suspend the balance of that sentence and place them into reentry court, which is akin to our intervention court. They actually have more monitoring, Senator, because they're responsible to that judge that can actually re-sentence them to the balance of their sentence. So this is not a parole board issue. This is not a technical violation type situation.
142, 143, 144. It may be existing law, but it looks to me like it still would apply. If the defendant violates any condition of his reentry probation, the court may revoke the probation and order the defendant to serve all or part of the sentence previously imposed and suspended unless the violation is a technical violation.
It's the same rules and guidelines, though, with the intervention court. In other words, it's not a carve-out for new rules. It has been my experience, and I think the experience of people across the state, that the intervention courts have worked when we give the judge that discretion, because this is not a probationer who, you know, has a technical violation, a new felony, et cetera. This is someone who's actually been able to participate in a program that they've already had 3 years of successful compliance while incarcerated, and then while out, they're before that same judge, and that judge would be best equipped to do that.
So if the probation officer, if they're in this reentry program and they violate something, then is the judge going to decide, or is the MDOC going to decide if it's a TVC?
The judge makes those calls, and again, like intervention.
Because I mean, I've seen reports where they didn't even go to a judge. They just, you know, MDOC told the parole officer, just send them to a TVC, don't even get a judge.
Okay, once again.
On probation and parole.
Right, that's separate. On intervention court, and I can speak to that in the First Circuit, particularly in the Third Circuit, Judge White runs intervention court in the First Circuit, which is one of the pilot programs. You know, Judge Tollison now runs a drug court in the Third District. There are daily requirements until they've earned the right to have maybe weekly requirements. And then, so it is much more supervision. That's why the drug court's been successful. I
agree, and I want them to have a chance. I just don't want, you know, MDOC to be able to, you know, give them 10 chances whenever we're trying to rehabilitate them. That's my thing.
That's fair, I understand. It's the judge. The judge will make that call, not MDOC. Thank you, Senator.
Senator Simmons, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question, Mr. President.
We yield for a question, Senator.
I yield.
Please proceed, Senator Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Sparks, I certainly want to first thank you and Chairman Barnett for all your work on this bill. I wanted to raise a question that was raised in committee and also follow up with what Senator Hobson raised about there are no costs associated with these programs being established in the 3 districts that are highlighted in the bill, correct?
That is correct. Here's the way I understand it. First of all, again, anybody that's sentenced is going to MDOC, and what Commissioner Kane, how he chooses to do his workforce reentry training, that's up to him. There's no cost to the state. There's no appropriation for that. Once they're released, they're put into this reentry court. These courts already established the intervention. Now, it's the senior judge who has that discretion, but they're most likely going to turn it over to their intervention court judge. They receive an appropriation already for their intervention courts. They're not going to receive an additional appropriation for that. There are fees that are involved, and of course the judge makes the determination. Can someone pay those fees? What should those fees be? And these things have self-generated. These 3 districts have looked at their financial security, and they have said, we believe we can do this pilot program because they knew they weren't getting any more money. Yeah. So thank you.
And that leads me to my follow-up question. There are no districts in the bill to represent the people in the Delta who really would benefit from this program, like the 4th Judicial Circuit, which covers LaFleur, Sunflower, and Washington counties, and the 11th Judicial Circuit, which covers Bolivar, Coahoma, Tunica, and Quitman counties, which are really vulnerable counties in the state that would really benefit from a program like that. And both of those judicial districts do have viable intervention courts. So my question is, as the bill moves through the process, since there is not a requirement for an additional appropriation, if feasibility is done in other circuits, would it be something that you and the chairman will look at as the bill, if it comes back over from the House, to try to include these pilot programs in other areas that could certainly benefit from this type of program?
I think without question, first of all, Senator Barnett is the primary on the bill, and I appreciate him allowing me the opportunity to present on this bill since the First Circuit, which I serve, was part of this bill. I'll be glad to see on the viability part, because you are correct, there's no appropriation ask. If a district said we would like to be included, but we need $100,000 or we need $200,000, that's not what this program. These 3 districts were vetted through the process. I'm certainly not opposed if somebody else says we are viable, we are capable. Yeah. I know when you do a pilot program, that's part of the process, and there'll be a report back on this program and the success of it. But I'm not opposed to another circuit being added. But I couldn't speak for any intervention court or judge to say whether they felt like they could manage it from a personnel standpoint. Because let's be honest, there's adult felony intervention courts that have 40 or 50 people in it.
Yeah.
And that's very important. But we have 230 some odd people in the First Circuit. So it's also maybe a volume situation that, can you manage not just the finance side of it, can you manage the people, do you have the staffing? But I would be open to, to that as well.
Yeah. And to also to provide full disclosure, I have not reached out to Circuit Court Judge Al Smith in the 11th Circuit or Judge Margaret Carey McCray in the 4th Circuit, but I certainly will do so. I was just trying to make sure that I can certainly get support from your 2 efforts as it relates to if there is no appropriation and my intervention courts, they determine that they could do this to help people in my area, then certainly I want them to be included. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, we're ready for your motion.
If we've not adopted the committee sub, I would move we adopt. Oh, it's open. Excuse me, it's not a committee sub.
It's not a committee
I
sub.
move for passage on the morning roll call, final passage, Mr. President.
Senators move for passage on the morning roll call. Does anyone object to the procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Present? Seeing none, use of morning roll call is granted. Bill passed. Thank you, Senator. Senator Pope? Good. Senator Moran? Good. Senator Michelle? Good. Senator Parks? Good. Senator Blackman? Good. Senator Wiggins is good. Pardon me? Where? One moment, I may have missed you on the calendar. 1 second, please, Senator. Senator Chasnell, I apologize. Senator Chasnell, number 93. Senator Chasnell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to go to item number 93, Senate Bill 2606, call it up, and ask that the title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2606, Mississippi Native Spirit Law, create.
I make the usual motion.
The Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is the Mississippi Native Spirit Law. You may recall last year we had a similar piece of legislation that dealt with mead, which was a new product introduced into Mississippi. This bill expands the production and sale of alcohol for micro distilleries. We did a good bit of study about this using resources from the Department of Agriculture. Also had some input from a professor over at Mississippi State University who helped us do some comparative studies of other states and how this has helped to develop agritourism and the farm-to-table movement. It offers a new venue for bed and breakfast owners and generally helps bring Mississippi in line with other states and what they are doing. It allows farmers to be involved in the production of native spirits, and it is in line with national trends. I think it'd be good for Mississippi, and I know that Senator Boyd has a similar bill from an area in her district. This is not for anyone I know of in my particular area of the state, but rather for someone down in South Mississippi. So it shows that there is a statewide interest in this. And it also will allow us to tax and to regulate the production of these products. And if there are no questions or further comment, I would invite passage on the morning roll call.
Any questions? Any questions on the bill? Seeing none, Senators request use of the morning roll call. Anyone object to procedure? Wish to record a vote as voting no. Present. I'm sorry, no. Norwood, no. Anyone else? No. Present? Present. Anyone present? Mr. Clerk, Secretary, you see any presence? Okay. Senator Suber, you're recognized for pair announcement.
Mr. President, I'd like to announce a pair. If Senator Tate was here, he would vote no, and I vote aye.
Tate, no. Aye. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing none, the bill is passed by use of the morning roll call with exceptions noted. Thank you, Senator. I would ask if there are any other, rather than read every single one of these, I'll ask if any other person or senator wishes to bring a matter up on the calendar after 94. Senator Younger, you're recognized. So 94 through 98 will stay on the calendar, 99, all the way to 109, all the way to 113, retain their place on the calendar. We'll go to 114. Senator Younger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for the number 114 title be read.
Mr. Clerk, please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2072, pecan harvesting law, revised penalties for violating.
Make the usual motion.
Senator makes the usual motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to yield the mic to Senator Seymour, please, to present the bill.
Senator Seymour, you're recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the same bill we brought up last year, and there's no change in that language. Where the changes that we made last year was to the harvesting of season of pecans from October to September 1st and ending in January 31st instead of December. What this bill really does is bring the code's violation for thievery of pecans in relation to the charges of larceny. That's basically the biggest part of what it does, and does give restitution for the destruction of the private property that might be involved. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the bill? Senator Whaley, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Question, please.
Will you yield for a question, Senator Seymour?
Yes.
Thank you. Senator, you're recognized.
Senator Seymour, this deals with, did you say pecan theft?
Pecan theft.
Pecan theft. Any other types of nut theft dealing with this?
No, sir.
Is pecan theft a big problem in South Mississippi or Central Mississippi? Where's the issue with pecan theft?
Well, I might need to give a little history here. Back from 1930, pecans were not a high dollar item. Now they have increased. The statute has always been that it didn't matter the amount that you stole, you would never be charged with nothing more than a misdemeanor. And all this is doing is bringing it into the graduation of how much you stole.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Senator Turner Ford.
Question.
Will you yield for a question, Senator?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there any quantity specified in the bill? Is any amount of pecans that are stolen will be charged?
By dollar value.
It is by dollar value?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you explain to me, I guess, how the dollar value would apply? I just thought I saw.
Well, if you're stealing it from a wholesaler, I mean, they've got their books, and I don't know, you grocery store, how do you determine one from the other, value-wise?
So it's based on the quantity of pecans that are stolen. It's based on the quantity of pecans that are stolen? I just didn't see that language in here.
No, there's no quantity, it's just the actual cost. So it's no quantity or. So should it be amended? No, ma'am, it's not in the bill.
I'm sorry?
It's not listed in the bill, quantity or amount.
So any quantity of pecans that are stolen that can give rise to a charge of larceny. It says larceny and subject to penalties of petty larceny or grand larceny. So how will we distinguish how it's going to be charged?
I would assume that would be a part of common law. I'm not an attorney.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, we have a series of other questions. Senator Suber, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
A question.
Would you yield, Senator, for a question?
Friendly question.
Friendly.
Senator Seymour, I was reading the bill, we discussed this with the chairman. I was reading in here and it says the penalties of petty larceny, which is a misdemeanor, and then you have grand larceny, which would be a felony, which could be a little severe for pecans, but nevertheless, if that's somebody's living, I understand it. But it does have a dollar amount, if you look up petty larceny, of $500. I mean, and then grand larceny is, I can't think over 1,000. Would that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think you do have an amount in here.
Yes, sir.
And is that your intent? If there's a value of $500 to be a misdemeanor, anything over 1,000 would be a felony? If I'm reading this right?
That's what the intent is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Simmons, Derek, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Question, Mr. President.
Will you for a question, Senator?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, my mom makes a mean pecan pie. Is it anything, and she gets her pecans from her neighbor next door. Is it anything I need to tell her this weekend when I go back home about this bill?
Repeat the last part I didn't quite catch.
Is it anything I need to tell my mom about this bill when I go home this weekend, because she makes a mean pecan pie, but she gets her pecans from her neighbor next door? Does this
If it's from her consent, or her neighbor's consent.
Okay.
And then, there is, the language in agriculture bills that allow you on public right-of-ways, but
okay,
as long as you ain't infringing upon a
thank you,
private
Senator.
property.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Butler, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Question, Mr. President.
Will you for a question, Senator?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Seymour. Senator Seymour, do you have any statistical data on the amount of pecans that's being stolen over a period of time or per year to cause this to be something that needs to be changed from a misdemeanor to a felony?
No, just no statistical data. We have less than 8,000 acres now. Well, it's doubled in the last 2 years in the state of Mississippi. We got about 8,000 acres that are being farmed for pecans. But what has happened throughout the state of Georgia, Oklahoma, where the cultivars are of a high quality pecan, the men have been, until they gotten a stiffer sentence involved with their product, we're actually driving around their properties with shotguns to protect from the thievery that has been going on.
Has it become so severe that it attracts attention of attorneys to want to change that to a felony?
They increased their penalties and all, and it helped get law enforcement more involved as far as the criminal activity, because back when it was a misdemeanor, it doesn't rise to the what they go after, murders
and Senator Seymour, have you taken under consideration that the effect that this will have on an individual when it become a felony? The things, how it will affect that individual. And most of the time we find that if something like this occur, it will be among our young people. And a felony could have a devastating effect on that person's future. Have you taken that under consideration?
Senator, I didn't hear all that you were saying there.
I said, if to my knowledge, you will probably find that this will apply to individuals in between the ages of 20 and, let's say, 35. And in there, have you taken under consideration the effect that it will have on the future of their life?
Well, it's better than being shot. I mean, if you get the law enforcement there to take a more active role in curtailing the theft, and the property owner not going out there and having to protect it himself on a regular basis, you know, it would probably save their life if we pass this bill.
Thanks, Senator Seymour.
Okay. Senator Jackson, Sampson. Senator Jackson, for what purpose you seek recognition?
Question.
Will you yield for a question, Senator? Senator, will you yield for a question? Yes, he will. Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason for this bill, my understanding is that when pecan growers gather pecan, they get them in large containers. And by getting them in large containers, sometimes they leave them outside overnight, and they have been stolen, and these large containers have been stolen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's the purpose of this bill, to address the larger amount that have been stolen, right?
Well, it's kind of like, it ain't the same as harvesting cotton, but your bolts are left in the field till you finish with all of your harvesting. The same is likewise with the pecans. They put them in their totes when they finish that portion of harvesting, and that's the most vulnerable time, and with higher quality nuts that they are producing. If you backed up your truck to a high quality cultivar, you could conceivably steal $9,000 worth of pecans, just shovel them in the back of your truck. So, I mean, that's what we're trying to curtail.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Barnett, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. President. Question.
Will you yield for a question, Senator Seymour?
Yes.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you. Senator Seymour, in my travels around the state and other places during pecan harvesting time, I noticed there's several individuals who may have pulled over on the side of state highways where there's pecan trees and just picking up a few pecans for themselves. Would these individuals face any charges, or would that be considered theft?
There is a statute that deals with that or indemnifies, but this does not take that statute. It's not addressing that statute.
So those individuals would not be charged?
No.
Are we sure about this?
This is dealing with the private property. He's talking about public right of way. So there's no, he can't be charged on public right of way, right? Right, so he'd be, no.
Thank you.
Sir?
On public property, no.
They would not be charged with any crime?
Right.
Okay, thank you, Senator.
Senator Suber, is your light on? Senator Suber, you recognize for a question.
Question.
Please proceed.
I just want to clarify with Senator Seymour, I was looking at the wrong code section. You have in here petty larceny, and that's anything over $1,000 is a felony. And then the grand larceny is anything between $1,000 and $5,000.
Yes.
So anything under $1,000 is still going to be a misdemeanor. But this law if we didn't even have it, if someone was stealing $1,000 worth of stuff, they should be charged with a felony. And if somebody's stealing $1,000 worth of pecans, which to me would be a lot of pecans, they need to be charged. Whether it's pecans, oranges, apples, any vegetable, any fruit, any grain, anything. I think that's in tenet of your law, someone is stealing these pecans.
Yes, Senator.
All right, thank you. I just want to clarify that I told you wrong.
Thank you, Senator Suber. Senator Blackwell, you're recognized for a question?
Question, Mr. President.
Will you yield, Senator? Please proceed,
Yes.
Senator Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Seymour, under this bill, if an individual is found guilty under these provisions, but they relate to being a squirrel, would the same penalties still apply?
Repeat that.
I said, under the provisions of this bill, if someone is found guilty, but they relate to being a squirrel, would the same penalties still apply?
No, Senator. The death penalty applies there.
Any other questions? We're ready for your motion, Senator. Ready for your motion, Senator.
I move for passage by the use of the morning roll call.
Senators moved by passage of the use of morning roll call. Any object to the procedure? Anyone wish to record as voting no? Butler. Butler is no. Anyone else? No. Anyone else? Turner Ford is no. Anyone else? No. Anyone else? Just two. Thank you very much. Bill passed by use of the morning roll call with 2 noes. We'll go back to the calendar. 115 is passed and retains its place on the calendar. Is any other chairman desire to bring up anything else on the calendar today? On the calendar today. Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to Senator Blackwell. All of these will retain their place on the calendar. That's right. Yeah. All right. Does anyone have an announcement? Anyone have an announcement? I'm sorry, Senator Chasnoff. Please proceed.
Mr. President, I'd like to hold item number 69 from yesterday's calendar, Senate Bill 2117, on a motion to reconsider.
2117, a motion to reconsider. Yeah, just a second. Will you read the title, Mr. Clerk?
Senate Bill number 2117, juvenile offenders provide alternative sentencing and parole options.
To the chairman. Next, Senator Hobson, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Have a couple of announcements and then also an adjournment memory, if that's appropriate.
Please proceed.
Thank you. On behalf or for Senator Branning, she would like to co-author 4 bills on yesterday's calendar. They're items 2, that's Senate Bill 2062, item 6, Senate Bill 2834, item 33, Senate Bill 2267, and item 39, Senate Bill 2113. Also,
seeing no objection, it's granted. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also, I would like to hold item 60 on yesterday's calendar. That's Senate Bill 2392.
Please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2392, County Port and Harbor Commission provide for holdover of appointees.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finally, an adjournment in memory. When the Senate adjourns today, I ask that we do so in memory of Mrs. Betty Bayless of Vicksburg.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Blunt, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to request an excused absence for Senator Horn this morning. He was unable to make it this morning.
Thank you. Please note, excused absence. We'll go to Senator Younger for an announcement.
Adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
When the Senate adjourns today, please do so in memory of Nancy Landrum Jacks and Jimmy Simmons.
Thank you, Senator Younger. Senator Derek Simmons.
permission to be added as a co-author. Can I list the bills, Mr. President?
Please do, one at a time.
It was on yesterday's calendar, item number 49, which is Senate Bill 2527, the Mississippi Critical Teacher Shortage Act. Also, item number 69 on yesterday's calendar, Senate Bill 2117, Juvenile Offenders Provide Alternative Sentencing and Parole Options. Senate Bill, item number 72 on yesterday's calendar, Senate Bill 2282, Youth Detention Raise the Minimum Age. And 73 on yesterday's calendar, Senate Bill 2573, Department of Public Safety, to implement the Uniform Reporting Standards. And also on today's calendar, item number 92, Senate Bill 2574, Reentry Courts.
Seeing no objection is granted. Senator Robert Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be listed as co-author on several bills from yesterday's calendar.
Yes, sir.
Item number 2.
Thank you. And the bill number, please, sir.
2062.
Thank you.
Item 33.
Okay.
2267.
Okay.
Item 49. 2527.
Okay.
Item 69.
Okay.
2117.
Got it.
Item 72.
Okay.
Senate Bill 2282.
Okay.
Item 73. Senate Bill 2573.
Okay.
And item 94, 2077.
Okay.
Item 95, 2098.
Okay.
And on today's calendar,
Yes, sir.
item 78, Senate Bill 2205. Item 79, Senate Bill 2293. Item 80, Senate Bill 2294. Item 82, Senate Bill 2630. Item 92, 2574. And 93, 2606. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Barnett. Senator Barnett is good. Senator Sarita Simmons. You're recognized for an announcement.
To request unanimous consent to be added as a co-author on item number 49 and item number 69 on yesterday's calendar and item number 92 on today's calendar. Thank you.
Do you have 49 and 69, Mr. Clerk? You have the item numbers. We need the Senate bill numbers, Senator, please, on yesterday's calendar. You mentioned 49. What is the Senate bill's number, please, ma'am? Senator Simmons?
Item number 49 and item number 69 on yesterday's calendar.
Yeah, what are the
And then-
Senate bill numbers on item 49, please, ma'am? What is the Senate bill number? Not 49, it'll have a Senate bill, SB.
Okay. All right. 2527.
Okay.
And then item number 69, 2117.
2117.
And today's calendar is item number 92, Senate Bill 2574.
2574.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Seeing no objection, permission is granted. Senator Sparks for an announcement.
Yes, Mr. President. Two items to be added as co-author with unanimous consent. Item number 2 from yesterday's calendar, Senate Bill 2062.
Okay.
And from today, item number 92, Senate Bill 2574.
2574.
And when the Senate adjourns today, I would ask that we adjourn in the memory of Mr. Earl Stone on behalf of myself and Senator McMahon. a businessman and a gentleman from Baldwin, Mississippi.
I knew Mr. Stone, he died from COVID, and tremendous person and business person, long-term resident of that area. All right, Senator McCon, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to reiterate to the Senate that you do have the livestock show on Monday, the legislative showdown. If you don't have a kid in your district, or if you don't know if you've got a kid in your district, get with one of us. We want you to have a kid in your district if at all possible. It's a big deal to them. And Mr. President, I'd like to let you know that your Senate is properly attired except for Senator Thompson, who's planning on getting his belt buckle on Monday night instead of buying it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Suber.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be added as a co-author with unanimous consent to item number 2, Senate Bill number 2062 on yesterday's calendar, and also number 74, Senate Bill 2283 on yesterday's calendar.
Seeing no objection, permission is granted. Senator England, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask for unanimous consent to be added to item number 70 on yesterday's calendar. That is Senate Bill number 2121. And I would also like to congratulate my desk mate, Mr. Mike Thompson, on purchasing his very first pair of blue jeans yesterday.
Thank you, Senator. Seeing no objection, it is granted. Senator Butler, you're recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to ask for unanimous consent to be added as co-author to item number 1, Senate Bill number 2062, and item number 80, Senate Bill 2294, and Senate Bill, and item number 81, Senate Bill 2024.
Thank you. Seeing no objection, permission is granted. Senator Barnett, you're recognized for an announcement. I'm sorry, Senator Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion to reconsider Senate Bill 2113. That was item number 39 on yesterday's calendar.
Read the title, please. Mr. Clerk, please read the title. Number 39.
Senate Bill number 2113, voting equipment, requires certification by the United States Election Assistance Commission.
To the chairman. Okay. Senator Turner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to hold a bill on a motion to reconsider from yesterday's calendar, item 70, Senate Bill 2121.
2121. Mr. Clerk, please read the title. Number 70, 2121.
Senate Bill number 2121, intimate visual material, criminalized disclosure of.
And I would also like to request permission to be added as a co-author. Today's calendar, item 92, Senate Bill 2574.
Okay, to the chairman, and also 2574. Seeing no objection, permission is granted. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Senator Blackwell, we're ready now. Pardon me? I'm sorry, Senator Fraser, I didn't see you. I apologize. Senator Fraser for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like the Senate to join us in wishing our own Arnold Lindsay a happy birthday today.
Oh, where's Arnold? It's your birthday today. Mr. Clerk. Yeah, happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Anyone else? Anyone else? So appreciate the work of the Senate this week. Over 100 bills were disposed of and debated in this chamber, and you should all be proud of your efforts this week. Senator Blackwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 11 a.m., at which time the Journal will show we are adjourned until 4 p.m. Monday, February 8th.
Senator Blackwell moves to recess until 11 a.m., at which time the Journal will reflect the Senate stand adjourned until 4 p.m. on Monday. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We stand in recess.